Mickey's Christmas Carol on Blu-ray. I was forced to watch this every year growing up, but I liked it. So was it really forced? I don't know. Here's a review of this. So this movie is from 1983, and it's fun to see in the opening credits this little guy's name, John Lasseter. You may have heard of him. It's fun to see people that end up doing big things in little roles in older things. He's the one who created Cars and wears Hawaiian shirts. All right. Look, here we see our righteous protagonist, Scrooge, getting this selfish little rat what he deserves because he's trying to use more coal. Look at that. Trying to use more coal. So a note on the Blu-ray. So when I put it in to watch it, I was like, wow, this looks really good. And I was just looking how like super ultra clean everything looked. And I didn't think anything of it because I figured they draw the lines and then they color it in and then it just looks really, really clean. But I found out there was something more sinister afoot. So it turns out that they've used what's called digital noise reduction on this picture to scrub all the film grain out. So when they make it and then they put it on a film, that's what the movie is. And then when they scan it in to do the restoration, they scrubbed it all out, which actually it takes a lot of the fine detail with it. So if you can see pictures of this movie before it had the grain scrubbed out, you'll see a lot more details all over the place. And they're not essential. Honestly, it's fine without it, but you do feel like you're watching this movie through like a thick piece of plastic almost, and the little tiny details don't make it through. So I yearn for a better remastered version of this with all the details. And I think the reason that's even more important in animation is because somebody drew every single one of those specks. Like where you can see it is on their scarves, like they have these little specks, but on the version that is not digital noise reduction, the specks have like more to them. Anyway, I know that doesn't matter to the plot, but that's just one example over the whole picture of how the fine detail's been scrubbed out. That being said, it's still fun to watch this. It's still nice to see it on Blu-ray versus like VHS or DVD. I grew up watching it on a recorded VHS, so I'm used to watching it all wobbly. So I hope one day they do a proper restoration, and so we can see all the little details that don't matter to the story, but that matter to me and to the animators who drew this stuff. Boop. So this is my second favorite version of Christmas Carol in movie form, and I always, in anything, I try to put myself in it or try to apply it to myself or my life because I think it makes it more enjoyable. So on this scene, I saw something that just really felt like my wife, and I told her and she laughed. It's as follows.
Come on, Scrooge. It's time to go. Then go.
Yeah, that just rang true to me when I saw that. Scrooge is in bed and just rolls over. He's like, then go. I was like, oh, that's familiar. I know that from somewhere. Anyway, it's not from a specific example. It's just character wise, Scrooge is like witty, and he's this little disgusting cockroach is trying to get him to go with him, and he knows that's what he's saying. He's saying we're gonna go together, and he says it's time to go, and then he's just like, then go. Anyway, I just think that's very Scrooge, and he's got similar personality, I guess. I don't know. She doesn't ever swim in big piles of money. He doesn't do that in this one though either. Anyway, moving on. So just like yesteryear, with me, I forced my kids to watch this movie too, and they liked it. That wasn't very hard to force them because it's like Mickey Mouse related, so they all get super excited. But they were super engaged the whole time. Also, it's only 25 minutes, so that helps. But there's so many awesome cameos in here. Like, look at, there's Mr. Toad. Here's one of the ladies from Robin Hood, and like other random people you see. But they actually got really excited as little, like the little kids from the Robin Hood movies. It showed them, and they were all excited and recognized them. Okay, right here is actually the part where they got excited because it's the little kids, like the little kids from the Robin Hood cartoon. So they got excited to see that person. Also, there's kind of a weird thing going on here. You'll see in just a second. Okay.
Puckered, and I'm
we've
standing
got-
under the mistletoe.
Like Daisy Duck here. Okay. So I know that these movies are basically like the classic Disney characters are basically just like actors and they put them in different movies. So now they're all basically in the Christmas Carol story. And you have Donald in present day who is presumably with Daisy, and then you have like this girl who's just like a clone of Daisy playing the younger love interest to Scrooge. Is very odd. But the weird thing is you don't actually see the nephew Donald with the version of Daisy in his timeline. So anyway, I saw this and I was just like, huh. So Daisy's with him, or this is just a Daisy clone? Because Disney just clones people and they just have like slightly different voice. But this looks straight up like Daisy. Like this is Scrooge. And like the nephew at the beginning is Donald, and there's Mickey. So like this is Daisy, but she's playing his girlfriend, which is fine because they're all just actors, you know, they have to work, whatever. But we're just used to seeing them with Donald, her with Donald. And here's our baby. He's watching me film this, saying, "Do better." Thanks, kid. Okay, more cameos. The kids were super excited when they saw Chip and Dale, and they were like, "Chip and Dale!" And then I think they were excited to see the nephews. I'm not sure, but anyway, kids just got super excited every time it showed someone from something else. Okay, you don't expect to have your mind totally blown by a transition from a scene to a scene in like a kid's cartoon movie, but this part blew my mind. Look at this. So they're outside looking into, which one's this version? Is this Fezziwig? They're looking into the party, right? And the Daisy drunk girl at the party just kissed him and made all the hearts come out of his face. And so they're outside looking inside, okay? And then it's time to go somewhere else and look at some other thing. And look at this transition. It's so cool. So they're outside looking inside.
How much I was in love with her.
And then
In 10 years'
And then
time,
it's raining.
you'll learn to love someone
What?
else.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Do you realize how awesome that is? So the window they're looking in, all of a sudden, like the snow blows off the edge. What's that top piece card called? I don't know. The windowsill. Anyway, the snow blows off of there, and then all of a sudden it starts raining inside. And it's like, whoa. And then they're inside. Anyway, I think that is a freaking awesome transition. It really blew my mind. So much so that I wrote a note about it. I'm telling you about it. Boop. Okay, so the super awesome, devoted, hot duck has a love cabin that she's been paying on, waiting for this guy to marry her. And this is where he really shows what he loves most.
Your last payment on the cottage was an hour late. I'm foreclosing the mortgage.
Hour late. An hour late. Her payment was an hour late, and he's ending the mortgage. He's a horrible, horrible human being duck. He's horrible. So she should go get some other Donald or something. Anyway, he clearly loves money more than her, because that's like the perfect setup. And he's like, no, money's better. Stupid Scrooge. All right, Ghost of Christmas Future, aka Pete, is showing Scrooge some sad stuff here. And this scene, 100% of the time, always made my dad cry. A lot of stuff makes my dad cry. But I was like, I'd be like laying on the floor watching this, and then this part would be happening, and I'd hear like sniffling behind me on the couch. 100% of the time. Now get this. Boop. So, I'm watching this scene. Watching Mickey well up with tears for his little dead crippled kid. And this scene hits really hard, and I was like, if I pushed it or if I quit holding it back, I probably would start bawling on this part. And it's not because I'm having like nostalgia, like my dad always cried on this part, because he does. And he also cried during the Monsters Inc. ride at California Adventure. Sorry, Dad, called you out. Anyway, but on this part, I super was feeling it, and I wasn't feeling it, like I said, because of him. I was feeling it because of this, where I was like, oh my gosh, it's so sad that his kid's dead. Anyway, very touching. Sorry, Dad. So of course this part always scared the crap out of me and kind of scared my kids, but it was pretty short. So they handled it okay, but they were kind of scared. I mean, like, that's pretty terrifying.
God blesses everyone.
There's something you don't see in movies nowadays. Hey, bud, look it. You don't see this much in movies nowadays, where they say, "God bless us, everyone." Aw, thanks, bud. Anyway, it's nice to see that in a family movie every now and then, where that seems to be scrubbed out of everything nowadays. Kind of like how the natural film grain was scrubbed out of this movie. Anyway, I love this version of Christmas Carol. It's only 25 minutes, and it's super good, and it's funny and great. I love it. My kids really liked it. I can't remember if I tried to film a reaction out of them, and then I just stashed it somewhere on my phone for when I finally got around to finishing this. So if I did, I'll stick that on the end. Alright, so I love this movie, and I'm glad I have it, but the Blu-ray needs desperate help, and I'm going to show you what I mean. We'll see if you can tell. I'm going to show you the unscrubbed version, and then what's on this disc, and you tell me if you can tell a difference. Okay, so what we're doing here is we are looking at a screenshot of the Blu-ray menu that cycles through, because these images have not been digitally scrubbed to remove the film grain and the fine details. So we're just going to look at Scrooge playing with his money here, look at his scarf, look at the little lines on his scarf, and then we're going to look at his book too. I'm going to scroll down now. Here we go. So look at his book. Okay, this is the unscrubbed version. So now we're going to go look at a screenshot straight from the actual disc. Okay, so here we go. Here's from the disc. Do you notice a difference? Please tell me you do. So that is the result of digital noise reduction. They call it DNR. Look at that book. Can you tell a difference? I can tell a difference, and honestly, it just makes me sad. So here's back to the not scrubbed version anymore. Look at all that. There's so much more detail on this thing. So that's why people get so upset when they use DNR on live action movies, because it scrubs like real people's faces off and makes them look waxy. That's why they could say waxy face. Okay, thank you for watching. So overall, the Blu-ray image is weird. It looks good, but it's also been super dumbed down and had details scrubbed out. So it's like you can get the story in kind of like a dumbed down version, like the animation just like crippled a little bit. I guess pun intended for Tiny Tim. Anyway, and the audio, I think, is just 2.0 audio. Anyway, it was fine. It sounded a little bit old, but it was clear enough and fine. But my goodness, this needs a better restoration because it's such a good movie. Anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll see if I have some kid footage to show at the end of here. But thanks for watching. Let me know what you think and what your favorite version of Christmas Carol is. Okay, bye.